There comes a time in every soul's journey when the weight of what has been lost feels heavier than the strength that remains to bear it. You've endured seasons that shattered your spirit, moments when others took advantage of your goodness, and stretches where life seemed to strip away everything you built. You poured out your best, yet were left with almost nothing. You loved deeply, yet faced betrayal. You sowed faithfully, yet saw little fruit. You've watched others rise while you stood in the shadows, wondering if heaven had overlooked you. But listen closely and keep this truth in your heart: God has not forgotten you. He has seen every tear, recorded every wrong, and remembered every seed you've planted in faith. And now the appointed time is drawing near. God is preparing to repay you with increase. When He restores, He never gives back the same. He multiplies. You may have been wrong, dismissed, or pushed aside, but God is the master of divine recompense. He doesn't merely balance the scales, He tips them toward your favor. The losses you've endured were not wasted. They were investments in the glory about to be revealed. What others call loss, God calls setup. Every disappointment, every rejection, every delay was not misdirection. It was holy preparation for a comeback drenched in favor. Remember, God never allows His faithful ones to finish in defeat. You may have walked through a time when everything felt stripped away, but that was not destruction, it was pruning. And when God prunes, He's positioning you for abundance. You thought you were being cut down, but He was making space for new growth. You thought you were forgotten, but you were being hidden for divine timing. And that moment, my friend, is swiftly approaching. The same hands that allowed the shaking are now reaching to restore. Yes, there are times when life feels unfair, when wrongdoers seem to prosper while the righteous struggle. But know this: God's justice never rests. Heaven's clock never skips a single beat. Those who mocked your pain will soon witness God lifting you higher than they ever dreamed. Those who robbed you will see Him return what was taken, not merely restored, but restored with overflow. God doesn't just repay, He rewards. You may look at your life and ask, how can God make up for the years I've lost, for the chances that slipped away, for the hearts that hurt me? But God is not bound by time or confined by circumstance. He can compress decades of loss into one divine moment of favor. He can open a single door that erases the memory of 1,000 rejections. When He moves, it's never partial, it's abundant. And when God restores, He does it in such a way that every voice that doubted you will be silenced forever. Right now, heaven is calculating the divine return on your faithfulness. For every tear you shed yet chose to trust Him, there's a return. For every moment you stand firm when surrounded by wrong, there's a return. For every season of waiting, every prayer that seemed unanswered, every hidden act of obedience, there's a return. God's justice is exact. You may have assumed those moments were forgotten, but they've been recorded in eternity's account. And when the appointed time comes, God repays not simply in what you gave, but pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. There are some listening right now who've been hanging on by a thread, questioning if their effort still matters, if their faith still carries weight, if their prayers ever reach beyond their walls. Hear me, God has witnessed every quiet moment of endurance. You are not unseen. The world rewards achievement, but God honors endurance. The heart that keeps believing in pain, that's the heart He invests in. And God always fulfills what He owes. He's not a man who can lie, nor a promise keeper who forgets His word. When God proclaims restoration, every force that opposes you must move aside. Often, before He restores, He proves your foundation. He'll allow famine to see if you trust His promise of overflow. He'll close doors to test whether your faith stands on comfort or conviction. But when you pass the test, the reward will make every struggle worthwhile. Don't covet those who take shortcuts. They may rise swiftly, but collapse just as quickly. The one who waits on God may ascend slowly, yet their foundation is everlasting. You're not delayed. You're in divine alignment. And alignment with God always ends in expansion. When He repays, He doesn't return what you lost. He gives what you never dreamed possible. Job lost all, yet after his trial, God gave him double. That's divine return. He suffered, but his latter days surpassed his former. Your story isn't over because of what you've lost. God will not let your conclusion be written in sorrow. You may have endured storms, but those storms are producing the harvest of a lifetime. If you've been wronged, let it go. Don't hold on to resentment, for vengeance belongs to the Lord. The same God who saw your pain will balance the scales far better than you could. When you forgive, you hand the case to heaven's court, and heaven never loses. Leave it in His hands. Stop spending energy trying to justify yourself. God will vindicate you so clearly that no defense will be needed. Your breakthrough will be your evidence. Your success will speak for you. There's a kind of blessing that only blooms after loss. There's a strength that only forms in battle. You're not refined in ease, you're refined in fire. And when you emerge, the glow of your faith will reveal that God was with you through it all. You've walked through the furnace, but you're coming out as pure gold. The pain you endured was never punishment, it was preparation. The valley you crossed was not a burial ground, but a passage leading to glory. God will not allow your story to end where it broke. He's about to repay you with such abundance that your past struggles will pale in comparison. God has seen every moment you've waited, every promise you've clung to. You've prayed through years of silence, wondering if He even listened. But the delay was not denial, it was a divine pause while your blessing was multiplied behind the scenes. When God restores, He doesn't just meet your need, He surpasses it. You ask for enough to make it through, but He's preparing an overflow. You hope for restoration, but God is planning resurrection. Some of you lost relationships you thought were permanent. People left, and you assumed your story had ended, but God often removes what you think you can't live without so He can give you what you truly deserve. Don't chase what He's already released. When He shuts one door, it's only to open another that leads to abundance. And when that new season arrives, you won't have to chase it, it will find you. The same God who allowed the loss is now arranging the increase. Some have been struggling financially, unsure how to recover from years of depletion. You've worked tirelessly, yet feel constantly behind. But remember, the God you serve owns the storehouses of heaven. One touch of His favor can erase years of lack. When He decides to restore, He needs no approval. He can open doors in places you never imagined. He can carve pathways through systems built to exclude you. The same people who dismissed you will call you blessed. Divine interest is accumulating in your name. Heaven's economy never collapses, and its rewards never depreciate. When you chose integrity over compromise, heaven noticed. When you gave even while lacking, heaven noticed. When you believed while others doubted, heaven noticed. And when the time is right, God's repayment will come not in fragments, but in fullness. It might not unfold how you expect, but it will unfold. So don't lose heart. The waiting room of faith can feel lonely, but it's never empty. God is working behind the curtain, preparing your table, and when He reveals it, those who pitied you will be in awe. They'll see the shine of divine repayment on your life. The same voices that said you'd never rise will speak your praise. The same doors that slammed shut will swing open with ease. Because when God repays, no one can interrupt it. You've stayed faithful in silence. You didn't give up when the road was rough. That's why this next blessing will carry eternal weight. It won't be ordinary. It will bear heaven's seal. Every delay was a setup for this release. You're stepping into a moment where God is settling accounts. You're not just getting back what was lost, you're receiving the version heaven refined for you, stronger, greater, overflowing, and wrapped in favor. The reward for endurance is always abundance. You've walked through dry seasons and now you're stepping into overflow. You've stood in ashes and now you'll walk in beauty. You've endured the darkness and now the dawn is breaking forth. God's restoration arrives with a light that no shadow can hide. The very things that once broke you will now bless you. What once drained your strength will now replenish your soul. The places that once rejected you will one day request you, because when God reverses the order, He does it completely. Do you really think the tears you cried when unseen? Every tear was a seed. Every sigh carried a prayer, and the one who keeps record of them has written beside each one, interest due. You're about to witness the harvest born from hidden pain. The reward for your faith won't just bring comfort, it will become a public testimony that God never forsakes His faithful. Some blessings come easily, but the greatest ones are born from the deepest valleys. God permits certain seasons to stretch your faith, not to shatter it, but to strengthen it. And when your faith stands proven, heaven releases its treasures. You won't have to pursue blessings, blessings will pursue you. You won't have to compete for favor, favor will go to battle for you. Even now, God is arranging divine meetings, unseen alignments, and unexpected opportunities. The same people who once ignored your name will soon mention it in places you've never stepped. That's how God restores with interest. You'll stand in spaces your resume could never earn, receiving kindness your background could never justify. That's not luck, it's divine repayment. Sometimes God's payback isn't material, it's peace. He'll restore your clarity after years of confusion. He'll grant you rest after countless nights of anxiety. One morning, you'll awaken and realize the pain no longer owns you. That's divine interest. The strength that rose from your suffering, the wisdom gained through loss, the calm that now guards your heart, all of it is part of God's repayment plan. You are no longer the same person who entered the storm. You've grown wiser, stronger, and learned what truly endures. Because you've remained faithful in little, God is preparing to trust you with much. You've proven your heart can carry blessings without arrogance. Your hands can hold increase without corruption. That's why this next season will not only bless you, it will bless others through you. Don't be shocked when the rhythm of blessing accelerates. God moves slowly when preparing you, but swiftly when it's time to fulfill. The tables that once turned against you will now turn in your favor. The very stones thrown to harm you will form the foundation for your next level. God is about to reveal that His justice never expires. What was postponed is not denied, it's multiplied. A moment is coming when you'll look back and say, now I see why it had to happen that way. Every closed door, every silent prayer, every painful farewell, it all prepared the ground for multiplication. The losses were never empty. They were making room for what's on the way. God's repayment will turn your story into a testimony of divine accuracy. Hold on, because the turnaround is nearer than you realize. You've cried enough tears. The season of harvest is approaching. You've waited long enough. The reward is on its way with divine interest. Heaven's calendar has your name inscribed on it. The angels assigned to your destiny have already been released. You will not conclude in loss. You will end in overflow. And when that overflow arrives, remember, it wasn't luck, it wasn't coincidence, it wasn't people, it was God. He saw you when no one else noticed. He carried you when your strength gave out. He expanded your faith when your resources were gone. And now He will repay not because you earned it, but because He promised it. And when God makes a promise, the result is certain. So lift your head high, release the bitterness. Keep your heart clean, keep your hands open. God is about to fill them. The same God who watched you sow in tears will let you reap in joy. The same valleys that once felt endless will resound with laughter. The same wilderness that once drained you will bloom with life again. The repayment won't just bless you, it will bless everyone connected to you. You're about to walk into divine recompense. Every wrong will be made right. Every tear will hold purpose. Every delay will reveal its reason. And when it all unfolds, you'll recognize that God's accounting is flawless. The interest He adds isn't counted in numbers, it's measured in glory. Your comeback will be undeniable. Your peace will be unshakable. Your story will be unforgettable. Because when God restores, He doesn't just return what was lost, He rewrites the entire ending. The pain was real, but so is the promise. The struggle was heavy, but so will be the strength that rises from it. The losses ran deep, but the reward will run deeper still. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are on heaven's payroll, and your release is scheduled. It may not appear how you expect, but it will arrive precisely on time. God is about to repay you with interest. When He decides to reward His faithful, He doesn't consult your critics. He doesn't seek permission from those who wronged you. He moves according to His word, and His word never returns void. You may have wandered through a dry land for years, waiting for your season to change. But hear this, the delay was never denial. It was divine interest increasing in your favor. God was adding worth to your future while you waited in stillness. Every no you heard was strengthening the power of the one yes that's coming. And when it comes, it will carry the weight of every whispered prayer and every tear you've shed. Sometimes God allows you to be overlooked so He can reveal that true promotion doesn't come from man, it comes from Him. He lets them forget your name only to later set the stage where your faith becomes the headline of His glory. You thought being overlooked meant abandonment, but in truth you were being preserved. God never reveals precious things before their appointed season. The longer you've waited, the greater the unveiling will be. When your moment arrives, it won't need to be forced. It will flow naturally under the weight of divine timing. There's a difference between what you earn and what God bestows. What you earn comes through effort, but what God gives is born of grace. You've sown seeds of faith when it was difficult. You've held your peace while others tried to provoke you. You've chosen humility when revenge seemed easier. Those decisions weren't in vain, they were recorded. Heaven keeps more accurate accounts than any earthly ledger. You may have thought your patience went unnoticed, but God saw it all. And now, the harvest of that restraint is returning with interest. God rewards integrity in ways the world cannot grasp. When people take from you, they only touch what's in your hand, but when God restores, He blesses what's within your heart. He replaces sorrow with joy and grants peace no insult can disturb. That's divine repayment. Sometimes His interest isn't just material, it's emotional, spiritual, and generational. God can take one act of your faithfulness and use it to bless generations after you. Your endurance today can break cycles from yesterday. The tears you've sown will one day grow into forests of blessing for your descendants. God's interest multiplies through time. You might have cried, God, why did this have to happen? But one day you'll see that what you lost taught you what matters. What wounded you taught you how to heal, and what delayed you prepared you for destiny. When you witness the magnitude of His restoration, you'll thank Him for unanswered prayers. Some things you wanted were too small for where He was taking you. You asked to survive. He planned for you to overflow. You prayed for a door to reopen. He was constructing you a new house. God always thinks in multiplication, not replacement. There's a sacred principle that never fails. Whatever you surrender for the sake of goodness, faith, or integrity, God returns with greater weight. You may lose comfort, status, or friends, but nothing given up for His sake ever vanishes. It's stored in heaven's vault with a promise attached. And when God releases that promise, it doesn't return the same. It comes back multiplied, purified, and unstoppable. Every good deed, every kind word, every quiet act of faith is a seed that cannot die. Don't let your current season convince you that God is silent. The soil doesn't speak while the seed grows, yet life is forming underground. God does His most powerful work in hidden places. While you see nothing moving, He's rearranging circumstances, softening hearts, and setting the stage for breakthroughs. The repayment you've been waiting for isn't random, it's deliberate. And when it comes, it will be so exact that you'll know it was orchestrated from the very beginning. The doors that once appeared locked will soon swing open with ease. You won't have to push them, they'll open at your approach. Many people surrender too early, right before God turns the page in their story. They grow weary during the waiting and let doubt replace faith. But true faith isn't mere belief, it's endurance. It's trusting when logic has run out. And when you keep holding on in faith, even when you're exhausted, that's the moment God begins to move. You might feel as if you've reached your breaking point, but that's exactly when divine strength steps in. When your power ends, His begins. When your supply runs out, His abundance overflows. When your plan unravels, His perfect design takes shape. That's when repayment begins. Some of you have faced betrayal that pierced deeply. People you uplifted turned against you. Words meant to ruin your name traveled far. But hear me, when God steps in to defend you, no falsehood can outlast His truth. You don't have to chase down lies. Truth rises on its own. The very tongues that gossip will one day testify to your promotion. God knows how to quiet your enemies without you uttering a word. He'll make your success so evident that even your critics will have to acknowledge it. That's divine vindication. It's not revenge, it's restoration with interest. You might not understand the road you're walking, but faith isn't about understanding. It's trusting that the one leading you knows exactly where He's taking you. God never wastes the pain of His beloved. Every trial carries a purpose. Every test holds a reward. Even your failures can become the foundation for miracles when surrendered to Him. You don't need a spotless past to inherit a powerful future. God delights in transforming what's broken into something breathtaking. He takes what's been ignored and turns it into overflow. Hear this, what God is preparing for you won't be a minor recovery. It will be a full restoration that leaves people in awe. They'll ask, how did it happen so fast? They'll wonder how your story reversed so suddenly, but you'll know the truth. It wasn't sudden, it was stored. The blessing was being crafted behind the scenes. The interest was being added up. All that was missing was the appointed moment. And that moment is near. God is about to settle every account. The payout will astonish those who assumed your story was over. Guard your new season from bitterness. When God restores, He doesn't want you burdened by old pain. Let go of resentment, for forgiveness clears the way for favor. The instant you release the past, your hands are free to grasp the future. Don't let anger bind you to what God has already judged. Move forward with peace, for peace is the currency of divine reward. The stillness God grants after chaos is part of your compensation. It's His interest expressed as inner freedom. God never declares something lost if He intends to replace it. Every loss that drew you closer to Him was never a setback, it was an exchange. He removed what could no longer serve you to make space for what's on the way. The waiting has felt long, but the fulfillment will be sudden. What took years to crumble will take only moments to restore under His touch. The same God who permitted the storm will now speak peace into it. The very place where you were once broken will become the ground of your breakthrough. Some of you are standing right at the edge of transformation. You can sense something shifting even though nothing visible has changed yet. That's the sound of divine interest being released. The wind of repayment is moving in your direction. Doors that once resisted you are preparing to open. People who overlooked your value will soon seek your insight. That's the mark of God's intervention. His blessing doesn't knock politely, it enters with authority. It doesn't request approval, it demands recognition. Don't limit God's repayment to the scale of your imagination. His interest cannot be measured by earthly standards. You think in years, He thinks in eternity. You think in possessions, He thinks in purpose. The blessing He's crafting for you isn't just for comfort, it's for calling. He's about to position you where His goodness can flow through you. The reward isn't only for what you endured, but for who you became through endurance. God's interest isn't simply added to your life, it multiplies through your life into others. Keep your spirit alert, because divine repayment often comes disguised as opportunity. It may arrive as a new relationship, a vision, or an unexpected open door. Don't overlook small beginnings. They often carry seeds of extraordinary harvest. The interest He returns takes many forms: peace, favor, wisdom, influence, and perfect timing. Each one serves a higher purpose. He blesses not to exalt you, but to show that faith in Him never disappoints. So if you're still in the middle of difficulty, don't quit. Heaven's balance sheet is being reconciled, and your name is written in it. Every tear shed, every prayer whispered, every quiet sacrifice, it all counts. You've been faithful in hidden seasons, and now God is preparing to bring you into visibility. The hour of repayment has arrived. The accounts are closing in your favor. The tables are turning for your good. And when that moment comes, remember, you didn't reach this place by luck. You arrived here by faith. The same God who carried you through the drought will overflow your cup. The same God who watched your pain will now let others witness your rise. You will stand as undeniable evidence that faith in God is never wasted, that loss is never final, and that pain is never permanent. Heaven's interest rate has no equal. Every sacrifice you made is multiplied beyond sight. Every season of endurance has stored reward in unseen realms, and now those blessings are advancing toward you. God's repayment will be more than a blessing. It will be a revelation that He never forgot, that His plan was always in motion, and that His justice remains flawless. So lift your heart, walk with expectation, speak words of faith. The season of repayment isn't approaching, it has already begun. God has calculated your return, and He's preparing to release it in overflowing measure, pressed down, shaken together, and beyond comprehension. You'll look around and whisper, "This could only be God." And you'll be right, because when He repays, He never gives back equally. He adds interest. So now, as you stand in this sacred pause, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you truly believe God still remembers every seed you've planted? How would you live if you woke up certain that heaven's promise is still active, that divine justice is still balancing the scales, and that every loss, every tear, and every silent prayer is building something greater than you imagine? You have not been forgotten, you've been refined. You've been molded for something higher than ease, something deeper than applause. You've been shaped for purpose. And true purpose doesn't perish in fire, it shines through it. If there are corners of your heart still aching from what was taken, surrender them to God tonight. Don't drag resentment into your next chapter. Don't let bitterness occupy the space where faith belongs. Release every weight, the anger, the fear, the disappointment, and create room for what's next. God can't pour new oil into a vessel still filled with the old. Empty yourself of yesterday's pain and watch how quickly He fills you with tomorrow's promise. The past was never meant to be your residence, it was your classroom. The lessons you learned there will become the blueprints of your restoration. Let courage rise again within you. Yes, you've known loss, but you've also known survival. You're still standing, and that alone means God isn't finished. The breath in your lungs is evidence that the author of your story is still writing in your favor. You might not see how it all connects, but you don't need to. Trust that it will. Faith doesn't require sight, it requires surrender. When you yield to God, you stop fighting for control and begin walking in peace. The same peace that carried you through storms will now escort you into blessings. As you step forward, live with open hands. Don't cling to what's leaving. Reach for what's arriving. Move with the calm assurance of one who knows God's timing is always right. Be steady in integrity, bold in faith, and generous in heart. Let your life become a living witness of what happens when someone refuses to stop trusting God. No matter how long the night lasts, you may not know when dawn will come, but it always does. And when it does, its light will reveal everything you thought was lost, restored, multiplied, and glowing with divine interest. So stand tall and lift your eyes. The same God who saw you in the valley is the very one guiding you to the mountain's peak. The same God who heard your cries in the night will soon flood your world with light. Don't allow discouragement to steal what faith has built. Keep believing, keep pressing forward, keep trusting. For every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every drop of faith you've sown into the unseen, God has witnessed it all, and He will not let it return void. Let these words rest in your spirit like a divine assurance. God won't just repay what was lost, He will reward how you waited. The tears, the faith, the silence, the perseverance, all of it was part of the harvest in progress. You are stepping into divine compensation, not because you've earned it, but because He is faithful. His justice never wavers. His mercy never fades. His timing never misses. So step out of this moment renewed in spirit and grounded in faith. Lay down the weight of what's behind and carry the expectancy of what's ahead. Speak with gratitude, live with humility, and believe with courage. Let your life testify, even when your lips are silent, that God has been good and He always will be. And when morning comes, rise with confidence. Lift your hands, lift your heart, and whisper until it becomes the melody of your soul. God remembers me. God restores me. God rewards me, because He does. And when He does, His repayment always comes with interest.